I believe in American exceptionalism, just as I suspect that the Brits believe in British exceptionalism and the Greeks believe in Greek exceptionalism.
Well, the fact is they don't. They don't believe in it, not the way we believe it and not the way we mean it. And this kind of cuts to the quick for me, because I've gone to great lengths to properly define what American exceptionalism means. And it does not mean that we're better people. And it does not mean that we're special, more qualified, smarter, any of that than anybody else in the world. It doesn't mean that at all. But most half-thinkers, surface individuals, hear the phrase and they think it equals bragging. And that's what Obama thought it meant. I'm sure he thinks it means bragging, and that's why it's, well, you know, the British, they think exceptional, and Greek and so forth. What he was saying in that quote is, look, yeah, there's nothing special about us. And I know that Obama thinks that. Why else would he want to transform this country into something? He doesn't. He thinks this country's flawed. He thinks this country was founded in error. And he is about transforming it. He doesn't even use the phrase, so I don't know what Putin is responding to. The only person in this country that talks about American exceptionalism anymore is me, on a routine basis. Here is Putin's reference to it in his op-ed in the New York Times today. I appreciate this. I carefully studied his address to the nation on Tuesday, and I would rather disagree with a case he made on American exceptionalism, stating that the U.S. policy is what makes America different. It's what makes us exceptional. It's extremely dangerous, writes Vladimir Putin. It's extremely dangerous to encourage people to see themselves as exceptional, whatever the motivation. Of course he would say that he's a communist. He has always been a communist. The White House doesn't disagree with much of this, I'm sure. The American left doesn't disagree with much of what Putin said. In fact, the White House is happily accepting that Putin wrote this. Obama and the White House today are happily dumping Syria into Putin's lap, and now they're running around saying, hey, he owns it. Vladimir Putin, I'm folks, those of you of a certain age will understand my great concern here. Vladimir Putin has just asserted that he has a moral superiority to the President of the United States. And the President of the United States apparently is willing to allow that perception, because the White House is out saying, well, it's Putin, he owns it, it's his policy. Now Obama's happy to dump this, he thinks. I thought it was a brilliant plan. I thought he and Putin talked about it last week. If it's such a great plan, why didn't Obama want credit for it? Why is he happily dumping it off on Putin? And better question than that, why does Putin want it? And there are answers to these, and they're not good. But let me finish the paragraph here that Putin wrote on American exceptionalism. And by the way, he's right, Obama did talk about it in his little 15-minute speech. But because Obama doesn't know what it is and doesn't have a proper understanding of it, he misused it. I carefully studied his address to the nation on Tuesday, and I would rather disagree with a case he made on American exceptionalism, stating that the United States policy is what makes America different, what makes us exceptional. And folks, it doesn't. Not in and of itself. Out of context, our policies are not what make us exceptional. It is, in the past anyway, it is the foundation and the basis for those policies where you'll find the exceptionalism. And I'll explain this in a minute. Putin writes it's extremely dangerous to encourage people to see themselves as exceptional, whatever the motivation. There are big countries and small countries, rich and poor, those with long democratic traditions and those still finding their way to democracy, written as a good communist can. Their policies differ, too. We're different. We're all different. But when we ask for the Lord's blessings, we must not forget that God created us equal. My God, we got the communist leader of Russia more proudly quoting the Declaration of Independence than our own president does. We got Vladimir Putin asserting a moral superiority to the President of the United States. Vladimir Putin, do you people in the White House not know what's happened here? Vladimir Putin has positioned himself as a mature adult who stopped your immature child from messing around in somebody else's sandbox that he had no right being in and didn't know what he was doing. Vladimir Putin